Okay, here we go. Go to this computer. Great. So, welcome to this workshop, the first workshop of 2025.
Okay.
I think I have to close something. Here we go. Sorry about all these technical things as I find my way. So, we'll begin with getting into our bodies and coming into the present moment. So, the invitation to, if you're in a chair, to just lean into the back body a little bit. Feel the back edge of your sit bones, and we'll invite in relaxation. If your feet can touch the floor or if your sit bones are on the floor, just come into that feeling of being supported underneath. The oneness, that connection to the earth, and that steadiness. And whatever's on your heart and mind, if there's something there, let yourself find an exhale to let that clear the space of your body, mind, spirit, and emotions to be more present. And on your inhale, breathing in awareness of the air as it comes in through your nose into the lungs, the freshness and the newness. And we'll expand the awareness through our body, moving from the feet, from what you're touching, or the sit bones, up into the legs, the knees, the feet. Scanning through and noticing sensations that may feel temperature. You might feel an ache or stiffness. You may feel um, a coolness or some sensations in the toes or ankles or knees. Sometimes we can feel tingles or vibration. And there's all these sensations on the continuum from pleasure to pain. Those are categories with all the different sensations that are available for us to connect to through the bones and the skin and the muscles of the legs and the feet. And we'll come to gratitude for having that sensation and move up into the pelvic bowl, the bowl of the pelvis, a container for your reproductive organs. And this includes the pubic bone in front and the sacrum in back and the hip joints. And just notice what sensations are there. And if there's not a word, that's okay. You could just let your awareness stay there as you just feel the sensations of that part of your body. Perhaps your breath changed a little bit as you focus your attention. And then let the awareness travel from the pelvic bowl into the soft belly. And if it helps, you might breathe into the soft belly like a Buddha breath and relax any tension, softening the belly button, the stomach. the area just above the pelvic bowl in the back, the lower back area, as well as the sides of the waist. And as we're moving into these parts of the body, sometimes emotions just float, and we can be the observer of that and notice the sensations connected. And that awareness itself is like medicine. So we don't have to go to the thinking mind to think what we will do with what we notice. We can just be with it, and it's constantly changing. And the body and the awareness itself offers changes. It's great body wisdom. And then moving with your awareness from the stomach, the belly, up into the rib cage, which includes the breastbone in front, the thymus gland right behind it, the heart and the lungs, and all of the ribs that form like a container around the heart that move with your breath. Notice any sensations that you feel around the heart and lungs, around the right and the left shoulder. This also includes the arms, the elbows, the fingers, and the hands. And we can just be in a place of gratitude that we get to feel our body and ourself through the body in this practice. It's awareness. Include in your field of awareness the shoulder blades that float and move up and down with every little gesture and every little nuance, every little feeling. They move and dance along the back of the rib cage. And if there's some sticky areas or dense areas, we hold that with compassion and love for the unique qualities of ourself. And then letting your awareness move from this heart-centered area along the collarbones. So if you, in your mind's eye, draw the collarbone, say the right one, from closest to the neck to out as far as where the arm hangs down on that right side. And this might turn on a little more awareness. Oftentimes, the collarbones can be an area where we go numb halfway along the bone versus sense it all the way out to the edge. So drawing it and bringing your attention all the way out like a hanger where the arm just hangs down. Can begin to notice the nuance of body awareness and aliveness that we can start to access. So when we move into archetypes, we'll have more body to move with. And then taking your awareness from the right side and traveling all the way to the left side and drawing that side of your collarbone. If you're above yourself looking down, this collarbone would look like the shape of a letter S. So it's not exactly straight out. There's a little curve in the bone, and then the arm hangs down. And this layer of body awareness, this will just keep opening to more information that's coming in a soft way. So rather than like seeking or grabbing or feeling like we need to tighten around it, we can actually soften and invite in the pleasurable feeling of being present to your body and to the unknown and to questions and curiosity. And sensing all the way down that left arm, let's bring attention to both hands at the same time. And you're just feeling the palm of the hands. There are nerve endings in the palms of the hands and in your bottoms of your feet and in your sexual organs that are heightened. There's more nerve plexuses there. So we can feel when something's hot or cold or soft, hard. And then letting your awareness travel back up through the arms and up into the shoulders and the collarbones and bring it up through the throat. So on the inside of the body, noticing how your throat feels this morning when you swallow, or even the neck muscles. And that's that same awareness that we don't have to push or effort or try to make something bad feel better. We can, instead of trying, just notice and allow. It's just like the laws of attraction. Just notice and allow a feeling of presence. And this is really enhancing body wisdom and the body's inner soma that's healing itself, the body energy. And then the awareness, if you move up through the throat to the roof of the mouth and the inside of the mouth, you might want to move the tongue around or the lips. Maybe your head wants to move a little bit. Always know that during workshops or anything, when you're learning, you'll learn better from relaxation and from pleasure. So at any time, like this old method of learning that we learned in school where you have to sit straight and take information in, isn't as effective as allowing yourself to soften and open and play and move as you need to and get really comfortable. So a side note of the practice can be pleasure, that I'm just going to explore and learn from my body with pleasure. And then letting your awareness from the mouth move up into above the roof of the mouth into the brain, which doesn't really have nerve endings. That's why if you've ever seen those shows where they're doing brain surgery, people can be awake while they're getting it done. Yet the brain has a weight. It has in fact that it's kind of heavy. So if you sense the weight of the head, and maybe even you could push upward like you're wearing a hat and you want to push your head up into the hat, and or if you had a bowl on your head, or you could also like sort of let the weight of the head come down and you can play with that extension and the contraction. So when we move into archetypes work with subtle energy, which means they affect our posture. And our posture and subtle energy is just that. It's very subtle and it's very powerful. It's something we can see someone who's in their hero archetype and how they hold their posture. It's also where actors learn to play different roles and how different myths throughout time have came forward with characters. So we can play with the archetypes that feel very resonant. There are a few that are very common. One is like the mother archetype can be one that can be overwhelming at times, and especially when we move through life, we move through like a mother, and then our kids move out of the house, and we're looking for another archetype. We're looking for something else to fill or to be there because we've been so invested in the mother archetype. There could also be masculine archetypes that are equal to that, that could be father or could be, my son's a firefighter, and there's a very strong archetype that comes in with firefighting, with how you hold yourself, how you talk, how you approach life. So some of us in different careers, teacher is a strong one. So we can notice those ones that we've really gotten a lot of information of from, a lot of embodiment from, and notice those times in life when we're being initiated into a new archetype. And that's really what we look at life when life gets hard. It's an opportunity to be initiated into a new layer of self. when we receive that new archetype or that new awareness and we embody it, we don't necessarily have to go through the same cycles again and again and again. It's like when, as from a mother's standpoint, when you have a child, there's a period of time where all of a sudden you've embodied being a mother and knowing information without having to seek it outside. And you just feel the presence and the energy of mother that is motivating to do and go beyond. So we can embody that next archetype that we want to play with and explore with. And we'll have 12 of them that are Carl Jung's archetypes. And then there's a good handful from Gabriel Roth, and I'm going to show you how they overlay with each other. And we'll play with music, we'll dance a little, and then we'll come back and talk and share what we've experimented with. If you've done this workshop with me before, I talked about it as an introduction. Like the first time, it's like meeting 12 new people and getting to know them inside of yourself intimately. If you've done it before and it's like your second time through, hopefully there's more information that will come forward and it's like deepening a relationship with them. So you'll start to become more, have more information as well. And from that body awareness and from that breath awareness, breathing in this moment and exhaling, I want to open with an authentic relating game that can connect us with our voices a little more and to our container that we're creating. So, what I'd like to do is take the next 3 minutes and whatever it is that you sense in your body in these next 3 minutes, if you'll unmute yourself and just share it in one word, and it can be whatever. It could be a sensation, it could be a feeling, it could be an image, and no one will judge or have any response. We're just going to hold whatever we're sensing as a group in a meditation and let that be our way of connecting to start.
Anticipation.
Feeling cold.
Feeling creative.
I'm not sure why we couldn't hear Chris's word.
You need to get closer to the mic, I think.
Or it could be the mic on your Zoom that you're choosing. Maybe you need a different one to choose your computer mic. I felt pressure in my ears that suddenly came on. No pressure, Chris. If your mic doesn't work or you can't get it, no pressure. We'll keep it easy.
White.
Beautiful. So let's breathe in and breathe out. And I'm going to share the screen for the archetypes. And as I share the screen, I'm going to go through them. If you have it printed out, I think I can put it in the file here too. I was going to say, if you have it printed out, you can follow it right along there as well. If I can find this. Oh, good. Maybe I can't put it in our chat. That might be over my head. But the archetypes are like little packets of information. So as we relate with them and sort of act out some of their qualities, it's an opportunity to get your body to move differently than it normally moves, and it's especially effective at increasing motivation. You'll notice that you'll move your body differently, and that moves the energy in your body differently, and it helps us to get unstuck if we tend to be feeling sticky areas in the body. And they're really playful and fun. So we're going to play some games with them once we get going with some movement. But I wanted to share, first of all, the qualities that are related to Gabriel Roth's music and the sections in the music. Let me see if I can find a way to share this like I did before. If it shows up again. I've got a different screen than I had before. Maybe I won't be able to share it on our screen. Nope, not right. Try one more time. Oh, sugar. It was showing me, it was coming up right when oh, I found it. Okay. Try that. Okay. These are the ones that are by Carl Jung, and you'll notice when you look at it that with each section there's like a reason of how that archetype is helpful. So if you go into the colors, the rainbow of colors, each of them have a reason, and then if you go even in further, the little gray area, there's a more function of each archetype. So when we're born, before we learn anything yet, there's pure soul. We're coming through with unique gifts that as parents we're trying to figure out what are our kids' unique gifts. But oftentimes when we get raised, we also pick up, almost always, the expectations of our parents, the dreams of our parents, the ways that we want to belong and be loved, the ways that we have been abandoned, and in an archetypal sense, we've all been abandoned a little bit. You know, we're all babies that sometimes cried and didn't get picked up. And so then what do we do? And that partly forms our personality. And that's where some of the archetypes begin. That early on, they can be very deeply held in our psyche. And then as we grow through life, different archetypes come forth. And so they can be, like the mother or the father, as well as all of the ones here, the hero, the lover, the jester. There are two archetypes that I thought feel like newer archetypes, and that's the divine masculine and divine feminine. That seems like it's an overarching thing in our world right now, where maybe they were created out of evolution, out of women growing into their moving from the maiden to the mother to the crone, and the masculine as well, moving from how in this day and age it seems like there's so much growth, and how do we relate with each other, and that's an evolution in gender, what we've learned from our society and from families about gender. So some of the things that we've learned are not effective anymore, and we're growing into new archetypes that we're starting to call in. So if we start with up at the very top, let's start with the sage. If you look for the sage, and if you write staccato right there, that is Gabriel Roth's, when the music goes from flowing into a beat and a rhythm, and the rhythm starts to pick up, that's the staccato phase. And the sage is considered part of the staccato. One of the gifts of the sage is getting knowledge. And a couple of words you could add there that I think will help to enhance it are ceremony, beyond the ego, Holy Spirit. And Holy Spirit is what Gabriel Roth calls this section as well. That's the archetype. She renamed it to Holy Spirit. And then if you go to the right to Explorer, and that's chaos. And chaos is that stage of the music where we go from a rhythm to it just doesn't make sense anymore. And it could be speed, the music might pick up, or it could just be music that makes us confused. And the explorer in that chaos stage explores seeker, being a seeker. That's what Gabriel Roth called it. Having an open mind, dreams. I want to initiate a little thing here too. So if you think of the explorer and feel into your body, one of the gifts is freedom. And spirit is one of the reasons to have a spiritual journey, that we're spirits in a body. Take a moment and reflect if you know someone who reminds you of that archetype, the explorer archetype. Someone who spends a lot of their time in dreams or intuitive open-mindedness. And if you come with a name, if it's pretty easy and it comes forward, write that name down, because that will be like a role model for you to remember for that type of that part of the music and chaos and the explorer archetype. And as you imagine that person, and this could also be an animal that reminds you of it, or someone from the past. It could also be like a movie actor that plays that role a lot. But as you imagine them, see if you can just take a breath and imagine meeting them or being with them, and mirroring how they stand and how they approach life, the perspective that they carry. I'm thinking how helpful this is if you feel fear when there's chaos music or anxiety. Going to call in the explorer would be super effective to have a whole different experience in a dance. The explorer. And we're going to just back step because I want to do the same thing for sage. So if you go back a step to sage again, and remember the sage is the staccato Holy Spirit beyond the ego, the bigger picture. Take a moment and consider an animal, a character in a movie, a friend, someone you've heard of, and write their name down. And if one doesn't come easily, you could put a question mark. So that could be something that comes to you later. Sometimes we don't, things come through in their own time. And as you consider that person in your mind's eye, in your imagination, take a moment and it could be an animal or a character. Take a moment, imagine they're right in front of you, and you're observing how their energy moves through their body, how they think about approaching life. And see if you can mirror it just a little bit. Maybe you feel something in your body as you're meeting them. Maybe you feel your heart center all of a sudden, or your body temperature changes. And we're going to the right on the dial. So we went from sage to explorer, and now we'll go to outlaw, which Gabriel Roth calls the wild sun. And this is also staccato. You can imagine that time of the journey where all of a sudden beats come in that are surprising, or dubstep music. The outlaw qualities include honesty, freedom, passionate intensity. And the gift of the outlaw is liberation and leaving a mark. That's like that deep soul desire, that soul quality that some people are born with is leaving a mark on the world. And that might be you, or it might be someone that you know. And just imagining who reminds you of that outlaw. Could be an animal, it could be a character, it could be someone you haven't really met, but in your mind's eye, you see what they would look like. Like maybe they'd be a cowboy with a thing around their waist, like an outlaw cowboy. It could be anything. So it's just your image and you're meeting this archetype and noticing how the energy in your body feels when you're mirroring them. And that's really personal. It could be you feel an ache or a tightness, or maybe you drop right into it and it feels pleasurable. Like either one is welcome. I want to open this up even more with sometimes when you meet one of these archetypes, an image or a symbol comes to you. Like I just thought of the cowboy with the belt with the guns. Like the outlaw may have a gift for you. So just being open to how that might feel. And that could be a symbol that arises in a dance for you when they visit you. Moving to the right, we have the magician, who Gabriel Roth calls the alchemist. And the power is the gift of the magician, and the soul quality is leaving a mark still, leaving a mark. And this music that Gabriel Roth has for the magician is lyrical. So this is after chaos, after things have broken up into not making sense, and you're riding that wave of not sure where you're going, and you start to weave it all together into a dance. It's the new embodiment of the story, the new story that you're carrying through lyrical. She also calls this the shapeshifter, so it fits both qualities. And some of the gifts or the qualities are no attachments, transformer, wind of change. There's one more that's really, I think, important is turning pain into compassion, transforming pain into compassion. So notice if there's a person or an animal or a character that reminds you of the magician. We learn about archetypes when we're very young, when our brains are forming. And that's where all the characters and all the movies that we see, the Disney characters, that's how we start to understand the world before we're complex thinking. And that's why having a symbol or dancing it and calling it in and feeling it through your body, really it turns on the brain and helps us with learning things that go beyond the words or beyond books. So we're going to do one more, and then we'll take a break we'll do a dance break. We'll just dance and see what happens. But so one more to the right is hero. And the gift is mastery. Leaving a mark is the desire. And Gabriel Roth, that I thought was resonant with this, is father archetype. And it's staccato again. Almost all the staccato archetypes are in a masculine frame. And she talks a lot about the yin and the yang and being in balance. So I think that's a great way to play with the divine masculine and divine feminine. Here are some qualities of the father: protector, disciplined, commitment. And I think that you could put in there the queen instead of the king, or the father, the mother, And same qualities apply. Protector, disciplined, commitment. Okay, so we're going to do a dance break just to let the brain rest a little bit. And the invitation during the dance break, the song, is to just allow the music to move you and to be in a place of open awareness. Perhaps one of these will come forward, perhaps not. Maybe your body just wants to move and do some self care. It's all welcome. And then we'll come back and we'll share, just like we did with the meditation, of what you're sensing, and we'll go forward. So here we go. See if I can play a song here. Oops, let me go back. Let me know if the song comes through with a thumbs up, if you would. I'm not hearing it. Okay, I think I have to push something. Stop. Yep. Okay, here we go. Now I'll play the song. Still not hearing it. Let's see. Speaker, that should be working. Okay, let me play it a different way. Try it this way. Okay. So that music didn't come through, huh? Did not come through. Okay, let me try that again then. Advanced computer audio. I think it will this time. Thank you for letting me know there. Okay, try this one. All right, cool. invitation to take a breath in and out. And if you'd like to share anything that came forward from you, it could be a word, just like we did that meditation. You're welcome to just unmute yourself, check in with each other. You could also say a few sentences. So maybe there's a few things that came forward. I wish I could hear you, Chris. I really want to hear you. I don't know why the mic's not working. It's weird. Perfect. Joy. Yeah.
I would say just freedom, freedom. Yeah. Like felt very feminine in like a wild sun kind of way. Like a living out loud, I guess, in a feminine way.
Love that.
I'm just beginning to warm up here, and it's starting to, my body's starting to warm up. It's just super cold here, and I'm just kind of warming up. But I love that music, that type of music. It gives me this kind of like freestyle, freedom, joyous type of dancing.
Beautiful. Okay. I think Kati might want to share something.
Well, it was really weird for me because I got into a lot of self-judgment.
Oh.
I don't know what that was all about.
Hmm. Holding it with compassion. Sometimes things come up, don't they? It's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I was definitely feeling, I felt the sage come forward, like first. There's something about the mystical sounds in the music that brought that out for me. I felt a little of the father too, with a dog coming over and just feeling like joyful playing and holding space for him, taking care of him. So we'll move forward and play a little bit more. Um, is there any suggestions or things anyone needs as we go forward? I want to make sure I'm reaching you guys and kind of creating this with what feels right. If there's any suggestions. Cool.
May I just ask one thing? Was the intention of that first dance to go into the sage, the explorer, the outlaw, the magician, or hero, or
I'm so
whatever?
glad you asked. And no, in fact, the intention was just to kind of warm up because I know like Robin's in a cooler place and just to warm up our bodies with the idea that some of them may come forward. So it wasn't really as intentional to call them in. It was just to move and see what happens. A little dance break. So let's do about 10 more minutes and then we'll put on another song and do another dance break and see what happens.
But just a technical aspect, real quick. Your
Yeah.
microphone is catching your focus. You know how you do a background blur? So it
Oh,
goes in and out of your microphone, and because it's right in the front of the screen. So we see more blur in the background than you dancing, type of thing.
okay. Good to know that. Okay. Thank you. I probably won't change it right now because I don't know if I know how to do it or how it did that. Let me see if I can. Let's see. Touching. I'm not sure what setting I have that on.
Have a video filter on.
I don't think I do have
I
one
don't.
in
Yeah, it might
Ah,
be just grabbing, the camera might be just grabbing the microphone back and forth, but you can try
oh, I can
right
move.
clicking on the video where it says choose video filter.
Does it say that under the video setting?
The video arrow, the video button there, there's a
Yep.
little arrow, choose video filter, see if there's a video
Oh,
filter.
video settings and then video filter. I don't see, I don't see how to do it. I'm not sure. Advanced? No. For some reason, I can't figure it out, but I will look into it because I'm not sure why it's doing that. Hmm. Thank you. Anyway, we'll keep trying to figure that one out. Okay, so we're going into lover. Um, one thing I wanted to share with you, I'm going to show you another picture of a second document, if I can find it. Here it is. So this document, oh, that's the original one. Let me show you one more. This one. So this might get a little mind-blowing, but I just want to put it out there because I thought it was interesting. So Carl Jung looked at the personality as having an ego self, a self, which is like your higher self, and your soul. And each of these archetypes come from different aspects of ourself. The soul being what you're born with with your own gifts when you're born, and then the ego self that develops with how we manage life from as a baby moving forward, the ego's developed. And then the higher self is that aspect of you that's beyond all the ego. So I thought it was interesting, like the lover is soul, like intimacy. The gift of it is intimacy, and the desire is to connect with others. And the reason I thought this was interesting is because I noticed in myself which archetypes I resonated with, and many of them were in one little piece of the pie. So I can use this chart to recognize how I can move into other aspects of myself, like connection with others, or to provide structure in the world. I can then say, I need to call forward this archetype because I'm getting a little unbalanced in this one little piece. And then I think it's interesting how each quadrant has one for the ego, one for the self, and one for the soul. So it's like an awareness of finding yourself if you get lost. And we all tend to get lost at different times, lost in the ego, which is lost in our patterns that we've learned, or needing to connect to our higher self. We can say, we're going to call in the jester to connect to our higher self, or call in the lover to connect more to soul of who we are as beings as when we're born. So I think that it's a pretty cool map that can be used in everyday things. So let's learn more about, I'll keep this one up, this page up, learn more about the lover. So Gabriel Roth used chaos for the lover, which I thought is interesting. She also used flow for the lover, both. And I think for me, the way I read that is that sometimes in chaos, it's a cathartic release, which is almost like an orgasm. There's a feeling of like it surprises you and it takes you by storm, and all of a sudden you're in tears. That would be chaos. And then flow, connecting more to sensations and being present to the pleasure in the body. She described her archetype for lover is mistress. And she started going into the feminine on this side. And some of the qualities include creativity, sacred sensuality, and vulnerability for the lover. So take a moment and consider someone or something or an actor or actress who reminds you of the lover, who approaches life with this archetype really strongly. That person who's always moaning in the dance. They would be the lover. We have a few here. So considering that lover and take a moment to breathe in the posture, the way they approach life, how you might take on that role, and notice what comes forward in your body from that.
What was the third one after sacred sensuality?
Vulnerability. And we'll move into the next one to the left, which is the jester. And the gift is pleasure or enjoyment. This is, Gabriel Roth called this one the Fool. And I don't have it written down which section of music that would go with.
Kelly, I had chaos just from the last time we went
Perfect.
through it. It's just written there.
Perfect. Thank you. I didn't write it down as we were doing it. And I imagine it could show up in any of the other songs, but yeah, Gabriel Roth must have, because I was reading some of her work there, and so she mentioned chaos there. Here are some qualities of the fool, the jester: play, joking around, lighten up. And take a moment to consider someone who really embodies this, who lives life from this perspective a lot. And as you imagine that person or that animal, that being, that actor, take a moment to feel their essence and how they live life, and notice what you feel in your body that might feel different. Maybe you change how you breathe, or you hold something differently, you feel some different sensations. One of the gifts I remember a teacher telling me once about the fool, the gift of the fool, is they walk the line. There's less fear. They're playing with everything. So a really powerful one. It could be very powerful. And then moving up to the everyman. And the everyman, I don't have it written down again which Gabriel Roth, maybe she had it, maybe she also called it the everyman, I'm thinking. But some of the qualities here are the good old boy or the good old girl, lack of pretense, don't stand out, all equal. When we did a dance I think it was a week ago Saturday, and I went through these as we were moving through the dance. When I said the everyman, all of a sudden in the room it seemed like everything got smaller, and yet there was something that was arising that was mystical. It was really interesting. It was like all of a sudden everybody just sort of like blended in, like just sort of blended in with their movements, very simple, easy movements, and the energy in the room increased. It was very fascinating. And I read something, a Bible verse or something recently that talked about the everyman. And it was interesting to me, the spiritual connection between just blending in and just normal dance and spirituality. I just wanted to throw that out there because I thought it was interesting as of late. So
Kelly,
yeah,
could you give those words again? Because you go so fast.
I'm
I can't
sorry.
read that fast.
Yep, stop me anytime. I'll try to go slower. I know my natural speed is faster than
Okay.
it should be.
Every man is a good old boy or girl. And then
Good old
what
boy
did
or
you,
girl, lack of pretense, Don't stand out.
You know, I could totally see this totally as being a tribe dance, an ecstatic dance. We dance as a tribe. I mean, to me, that's why I go. I love the everyman, the tribe. That's why, you know, I mean, I could dance by myself for ecstatic dance, but I go for the tribe.
Totally hear you. And I see also that that it's part of the ego, the belonging, yeah, the gift of connection to others and the ego, which is interesting because I would think of the everyman as less ego, but then again, maybe it's more just it's belonging. It's like this is how the tribe, this is how we move. We dance together and just the easy, not stand out dance, just the we are dancing. Interesting to explore that.
Especially when you get like into some sort of like heavy tribal beats where everybody starts jumping up and down together and it just becomes this big type of rhythm together. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And the energy just increases and it's like it doesn't take any effort. You're just part of it. Mhm. So if you know someone like, or even what Robin just said, if you resonated with that, you could put that down like the group jumping or something like that, that helps you to tune into that feeling, turning it on in your body. My eyes are going also to the maiden mother crone and sovereignty, wholeness, evolution. I'm wondering if there's a way like all archetypes like the mother, like I know when I talk to other mothers, it's like we all get the mother thing. Like we all understand it. There's like a deep compassion of understanding. And I'm imagining that each archetype is like that, of that packet of information. But the big archetypes like mother can almost go with the everyman. Or when we have an all women dance, there's a strong sense of every woman. You know, we're all and I'm sure if there was an all male dance, it would be the same thing. There's certain qualities that come forward that everyone. So moving into caregiver service, and it's a way to connect to the ego. So that could be something we learned very early on. Being a caregiver could have been something we did to fit in or to belong, to be loved, and it became part of our ego, recognizing ourself. And the this goes along with the mother or father as well, to care for others, generous, and a helper. And it helps to provide structure in the world. So that's our need or our desire to provide structure in the world. Consider for a moment, it could be a mother or a father or a caregiver that really, someone who really embodies this. They live and breathe it. And you could imagine them, like how they approach it through their bodies, how their bodies are shaped. And then we'll move up into the ruler. We're almost there, just two more, and then we're going to dance. Maybe we
What
should.
was the feeling for the flow, the Gabriel
The,
Roth flow for every man?
oh, everyman. For some reason, these ones on this side I didn't write down for the everyman, the part of the music. Jody, did I do that during the workshop?
Yeah, it was also like with seeker. So in the chaos. Like
Nice.
Dexter and Everyman are seeker and they're both chaos.
Perfect. I remember that now. And the caregiver was that mother archetype
Mother flowing.
and flow, the music. That makes sense. And so this next one is ruler. Did I put staccato down for ruler or lyrical?
Staccato.
Yeah,
That
that
was
feels right.
father for
So
getting.
the ruler is control, and it's to help provide structure. So anytime that those aspects of I need to control this come forward, that's the ruler in us. Some of us have it more than others. I want to see, and that's your sense of self, higher self. So some of the qualities here are authoritarian, leadership, and control. So that could be a really fun one to play in the dance instead of like feeling like I shouldn't do this. Dancing, controlling, like trying to put your hands out and move to the different parts of the room, or take a strong ownership for your body, and controlling what you do could be like doing yoga and resisting the music. That could be ruler. It could show up so many different ways. And consider for a moment someone who comes to your mind's eye with that archetype, where they live and breathe from that archetype. And as you imagine that actor or that human, male or female, take a moment to sense how they hold their posture or how you see them in your mind's eye, and how that would feel to be looking through that perspective at life, having that be a strong essence. And we will move into these last two. So this next one is artist. Innovation and creativity, providing structure through the world through that being a creator. And chaos and staccato both. The way Gabriel Roth talked about this one is she said from flow and staccato comes chaos, which is sacred art. So she mentioned how like some of the archetypes sort of blend together to create a third. And that's partly how the wave of the music, one thing moves into the next of the music to evoke some of these inside of you and create that flow of energy. The artist is unlimited possibility, sacred art, and a spark. And let's
Ellie,
meet that artist.
I don't see artist here.
You don't have artist on the upper left-hand corner. Let me of your paper. Let me
Above
change.
ruler, I have creator.
Oh, that's interesting. I must have a different one. If you're looking at the one that I have on screen, it'll say creator. It's the same thing. And if you
Yes,
have the other paper, the second paper, it'll say artist. They're the same one.
I don't have another paper.
Okay, this one will work. You could write down artist above it. One and the same. So considering that artist person that you know and the feelings in your body, the sensations, and how they approach the world through their body, how you might be able to feel the energy of that. And it's okay if you don't feel anything at all. Maybe it's just a brief introduction today. So it can surprise you. These archetypes can visit you in the dance, or you can call on them. Meaning you could have this paper out, and when you're dancing in the next dance, you could point to one of them and bring that alive to get to know it better, that aspect. And here's the last one. It's the innocent. And safety is one of the gifts of the innocent. That would be like inner child. Free to
And
be.
word on my sheet says ego and then innocent.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep. So here's a word that might surprise you in that section. Romantic is part of that. So if a song comes on that is really an old love song and you just go into that imagination and that feeling of romance, not necessarily lover, but romance, that would be the innocent coming forward to dance. It's that inner child. Naive is another word. And um, that's another one, Jody. During the workshop, did I say a group that, of music that category of music, section of music that goes with?
Lyrical.
Lyrical, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
That makes sense. And like a love song, telling a story with your body. So taking a moment and consider who might be embodying innocent a lot of the time and how they breathe and hold their body, their posture, how they perceive life, and how you could sense that energy in yourself. See if we can go into music next. So when you're ready, take a breath in and a breath out. Maybe have a drink of water. I'm going to mix up some music and play it randomly, not necessarily in a regular wave, but we'll see. And the invitation is to play with these, to invite them forward. And if playing with them means actually looking at that at the sheet and calling it forward, just notice yourself and your practice, or going into the unknown and seeing if they visit you. We've invited them all here in our container, so the archetypes are available. And they may dance with you for a little bit, or they may not, and there's no pressure. We'll see how that feels. Just change my setting. Here we go.
bring it back to the. Yeah. 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 back to the yeah. 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 Back to the yeah. Yeah.
Easiest way to get into the meditative state is to begin by listening. I want you to listen to the sound of my voice just as if it were noise. Don't try to make any sense out of what I'm saying, because your brain will take care of that automatically. You don't have to try to understand anything. Just listen to the sound. As you hear sounds coming up in your head, you simply listen to them as part of the general noise going on, and soon you will find that the so-called outside world and the so-called inside world come together, come together, come together, come together, come together. They are a happening, and everything is simply a happening. And all you're doing is watching it.
Music I've been waiting so long. Your colors are run from my mind once again. You got me on hold, thinking that you're in control to the end. I can't deny you take me higher. You fill my mind with desire. I love what you do to me.
When the world feels loud, I promise you we'll figure it out. When the world feels loud, I promise you we'll figure it out. When the world feels loud, I promise you, we'll figure it out. When the world feels loud, I promise you, we'll figure it out, figure it out. When the world feels loud, this I promise you, this I promise you, we'll figure it out. When the world feels loud, this I promise you, this I promise you, we'll figure it out. When the world feels loud, I promise you, we'll figure it out. When the world feels loud, I promise you, we'll figure it out.
And the invitation to take a breath in and out and just feel the state of your body, your energy. We have an opportunity to share with the question, just the overall question of what arose for you. And more specifically, did specific archetypes come through your dance? Did you have some you were resistant to? Did anything surprise you? And any other awareness that felt like it was important. If you want to share it, you're welcome to. And we'll do that just popcorn style.
I mean, I could talk forever on this. I think it's pretty fascinating what you're doing here. I mean, I looked at every song and I was trying to think what was the archetype that you were trying to go for. And I thought that'd be a really great game to play, is just to find out, having you select a bunch of songs that are certain archetypes that you figure out that you feel, and then have other people try to guess it, or try to figure out what they feel, not what you feel, but what they feel, and see if it correlates. That would just be a fascinating game to play. I mean, I wrote down all these songs, that I could figure out, in the order, and I tagged an archetype one or two that I thought, and sometimes it morphed. It was very interesting. Sometimes it started off one and then it went to another one, and that's how music is. So you can't really just nail it into one thing. But some of them were pretty clear, and other ones were not clear. So I think it would just be. I think it's great. I mean, and I think that any ecstatic DJ that is worth their weight, and I think you're the best I've ever seen. If you're taking this into account, then I can see how it works. I mean, if you're selecting all these different archetypes, you're not concentrating on one. And that's where we get to this type of music where it's always the same type of feel and the same type of archetype, where you really mix it up. And I could see if you have this in your mind when you're putting a mix together, it's golden. And you're giving your secrets away basically right here. I can tell what it is. So it's just amazing. So I can see how if you choose the different songs based on how you feel and different archetypes, you would make a golden mix to anybody that was listening to, because it'll touch on something that for everybody. And that's what's magic about it, ecstatic mix. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this work, I mean, this is like Carl Jung's life work. So, what we're doing here with introducing ourselves and playing with them, I'm hoping everyone looks at it like a first impression, that you don't have to get anything really deeply, and the information will keep trickling in during different dances, things will come forward, and the study is ongoing. But I'm hopeful that it just introduced you to some different shades in the dance and ways to play that open it up. I know in my dance today, I have an archetype that's not listed that comes forward a lot that I'm resistant to, and that's autistic Kelly. And I say that laughing, but I don't mean to laugh, because I have shame around that part of myself. But it comes forward a lot in the dance. And it did today. And I was like, okay, so that's another archetype for me. Or maybe it could also be my crone, which I haven't really felt in my body. But I know the autistic side, I really feel like when she's there, I'm like, okay, here we go. And I perceive things differently. I'm outside the realm of normal, and I'm in a high state of love usually until I start to judge myself on it. But just wanted to share that. Anything else anyone wants to share?
For me, I love the innocent. I don't really see it as naive. I see it as like pure source, closest to God, most unstuck, just adapting. You were saying adapting to any environment. So that's like the ultimate goal for me. So I love that. And I love lyrical. I love lyrical. I didn't at first. Staccato is like my life rhythm in my real life, I guess, with my household full of boys and just the doing and the structure and I don't know, the working, the achievement kind of culture is like strong in my life. And the innocence is like, I don't know, all I can say is like closest to God, closest to like pure, true architecture of things, like the architecture of the energy is like the most innocence. And I feel like that's what, like, not to get too deep about it, but like that's what's being like hijacked and overlaid in our lives and in society. So to like hold onto that innocence, or when you look at a child, like to protect their innocence so that you can feel the most unstuck, and then you have less trauma to heal. It's just like the ultimate. So it brings me the closest. They're so much fun. It's so much fun. I totally agree with Robin that it's so fun to like just be creative and move through it and play. So great. Thank you.
I was having sound problems when you were talking about that lower left quadrant there. So I don't know about the gesture, but I think that's me. A big part of it. I find myself goofing around. Oh, I like to goof around. Yeah, but I'm also kind of passionate about things too. Yeah, I've had some unfortunate technical problems here. I seem to have been upside down for a lot of time. I don't know if you saw that. Anyway, I'm back. Thank you.
I'm coming off of a of a weekend of being very sick. So I wasn't in a very good place today. And I wanted to be able to play with it, and all I could do was judge myself. oh, I'm too slow. I can't write these words down fast enough. Can't keep up with anybody. Very stuck. And I'm I'm going to love myself anyway and forgive myself for not being where I'd like to be and trying to keep up and just let go and the controller. I wanted to be much more in control, and I've been completely sick and a lot of things that I had no control over. So I want to be able to do this with a playful attitude, and I was far from that today. But that's the truth. That's the fact.
I love your authenticity, and it speaks to love and your ability to be loving to yourself with all of these real ways that we show up in life. And I will send you all my notes. I'll take a picture and send you the notes and get you the right handout and everything. And I hope that it just gives you something else to play with, maybe in another dance. Maybe today it was just about what it was, and another dance, some things will come forward that you'll be able to be inspired by. Really, and I really appreciate you, Kati. Your honesty and authenticity is profound.
Yeah, learning to forgive is a big one, really big one. And like when Jody said something about she comes from, what was the word, achievement? Uh, that's been very much my upbringing. And so there. Thanks so much for saying that, Kelly. That means a lot to me.
Any other thoughts, Mariella? It's great to see you.
One other thing is that I tend to gravitate. I love all the five rhythms, and it's funny is you did four rhythms here, and none of them are equating with silence or the fifth rhythm. So I'm curious if there's anything that would tie in, or what is your thoughts about that? I mean, she has all these other ones that are tagged with her other four rhythms, but the fifth one isn't there.
Yeah. Good question. I want to research it because I know she did have some archetypes for that, and I don't know why I didn't write them down, and I want to double check so I speak from what she has listed. Jody, do you remember?
Yeah, well, this like the stillness, I have this is just from my notes. Stillness is under like dancer wounds, letting them become your healing teachers. I don't know. So I'm not sure. I mean, it wouldn't be with a rhythm, right? It wouldn't be equated to a rhythm. Although I have it under lyrical. I don't know why I have it under lyrical. It's with shapeshifter. It's with innocence. So maybe it's just like that next level. After you like integrate it all and you have this lyrical like mixture of everything and you've kind of worked through it all, what you're left with is what is your teacher. That's how I'm feeling it.
I love it. And I love that it would tie into the end of the dance. And then when we share, harvesting, it's like, how do we create, the music's stimulating a story, but then we're left with, even beyond that, what's the extra layer of learning? Or I like especially what you said about the dancers, the wound and the healing and the silence.
Dancer's wounds, letting them become healing teachers.
And that makes sense about going from lyrical. That's where you go into the stillness,
Yeah.
the last rhythm, because all the other ones are too upbeat or too staccato. It was too staccato chaos. Um, you know, they're just too upbeat. Where the lyrical could actually more equate to the stillness as it starts to progress. So I agree with Jody, and I agree with that. It's something that ties more into the lyrical than I think anything else, and then goes beyond it.
Yeah.
And then, like when we have like a dance the next day. It's like you're left with stuff and then you come in the next day and then you can start there and
Yes.
go through the whole wave again. It's amazing. Like I just want to do the wave every day. That point where I can like structure that in. I need some structure.
Beautiful.
I have a question. You gave out, or as far as I know, that just only those two sheets. Okay, and obviously Jody and Rovan, I don't know about Chris, are very familiar. I'm not that familiar with Gabriel Roth. I know ecstatic dance. I know it's based on the five rhythms, but you all are very versed in it and steeped in it, and you get it in your bodies and everything. So if you have anything to suggest, I would really like to know a bit more these terms, even the lyrical and the staccato. I mean, I don't really know those terms.
Kati, Gabrielle Roth wrote, I think 4 books, maybe more, but they're wonderful. If you want to learn, like the one I just finished, I'll just hold it up for you. It's called Sweat Your Prayers. Are you seeing that backwards?
Whoa, that's a great title.
And it's called The Five Rhythms. And she just talks about the archetypes and the rhythms. It's everything. It's the math. It's like the math, you know? So
Here's
look
another
on,
one from her, Maps of
I,
Ecstasy.
yeah, I saw that. I haven't read that one yet. I'd love to, that's on my list. She's great. So that's what I would do. Maybe grab a book or two
Is
off.
there anything online? Because I'm in Costa Rica and I don't know if I'm gonna find
If you
much.
look her up on YouTube, there's a lot of interviews with her, and I love hearing her voice and how she talks. She's very mysterious and ethereal. And I think you'll receive a lot of information from her that way versus even reading a book, possibly. But just Google Gabriel Roth on YouTube and see what comes up. If I find something specific, I'll send it to you too, or
Thanks.
put it in
Yeah,
our feed.
or five rhythms. I mean, she does a nice dance where she puts all the rhythms together and she talks about which one is which, and you can sort of hear the music and then the type of style they're dancing. It's kind of interesting.
Well, I know that we did, I don't remember what it was called. I don't know if you met Jory Kelly when you were here. Yeah. And we did it with Jory and she led us through it. And it's a process that she does. Isn't that her? I don't remember what it's called, but uh, it's not with me right now. I'll figure. Maybe it wasn't Gabriel Roth, but I thought it was. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a fair bit of five rhythms dancing, not much of the reading though. Uh, and I can never be sure what category a particular piece of music fits in. Often chaos, I could tell, but staccato maybe. But I still have an awful lot of fun doing it, which I think is why I do it.
It's so fun for me as a DJ with picking out music. Like it's a challenge for me to not pick music for a section that's obviously in that section. Like if I can find chaos music that is silly and playful or wild, but not the typical high drum, I get really excited about that. Or sometimes it's hard to find the difference between flow and lyrical. That has been a harder time for me. But I'm also playing with like lyrical not being with words, but with instruments and with how it moves my soul. And maybe it still has a rhythm, but it still feels on some level as lyrical. So I'm always trying to look into the shades of the music versus it being too obvious. That's like where I'm at as a DJ with it. It's fun, makes it exciting for me.
You know what was kind of fun too? I'm just thinking about the book that I just finished, and what's interesting about it is that she like interviews some of her dancers, and they like they describe the wave different things other than a dance, like skiing a mountain. There's a wave to it. Like this one nurse was like working in the ER. There's a wave to that. Um, Things like that, people's sort of anecdotal stories at the end, and how you can kind of apply the five rhythms to life in other ways outside of the dance. How like our day might have a wave, or I don't know, the phases of our life. There's so many like cool ways to think about it.
Oh, I just love that. I love that. And I think of like the chaos when chaos comes up in my life and how do I respond to it, you know? Uh, um, that's always an interesting one. Yeah, I think I probably go right to the ruler, you know, like try to get control. Everybody stand still or whatever, you know. But yeah, it's fun to think of it that way. All right, loves. We'll close today. Thank you so much for being part of this experiment and this workshop. It's so great to move with you, see you all on screen, and to hear your voices and pull this piece apart. Hopeful to have these at least once a month, and the next one will be. I want to do the next one as emotions, but maybe I'll somehow tie it in with this and emotions because I think we could work on this for a while and do games like you mentioned, Robin, and make it really fun to get to know them even better. So somehow with all of that, someone requested having emotions and have like a song that helps to move anger and sadness and all of it and our postures that we take it inside of that. I thought that might be really healing. So thank you. It'll be coming up. Hope you guys have a great day. Namaste. Oh, bye, Kati.
Plumber is at my door.
What did you say? I didn't hear you. Oh,
Oh, I said a plumber just called me. I have to let him in my house.
okay. Good luck.
Okay.
Bye, Robin. I hope you're warmed up. Aho. Beautiful.